Hey, hey, Soul Tribe. Mel, intuitive coach here. Excited to meet you face to face. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about my story, my background, and my spiritual gifts. And then we'll dive into the channeled messages that have also come through. So, thank you again so much for being here. If you want to skip past the meet and greet and head straight to the channeled messages, feel free to do so. So, let's dive in. My name is Melissa. Most people call me Mel. I was born in a city called Minneapolis, Minnesota on October 21st, which makes me a Libra sun, Aquarius moon, and Leo rising. I later moved to Wisconsin, so I am a Midwestern girl at heart. I was raised an only child to a single teen mom, and oftentimes it was a very tumultuous, crazy alcoholic environment that I was a part of as a young girl. And I took on the role of healer, maybe even coach or protector from as early on as I can remember. I called in the angels. I constantly prayed from very early on. We didn't grow up religious, but I had connected to something other than myself. Now, being around such lower vibrations and lower energies, even though I was alone often, I wasn't lonely because I knew that there was a source I could call on for help, for guidance. And that help and guidance also helped me nurture and heal my own mother when she was going through her shadows and facing her demons. Because there were a lot of individuals in my life who would come and go, they carried a very dark vibration. So I learned to read energy very early on. That has helped me to this day. So it was around 2 or 3 years old that I connected to my first apparition. We'll call him Jim. He was a ghost who had crossed over in this apartment complex that I lived in. Now, we constantly moved when I was a young child, so it was difficult making friends. So when this older gentleman appeared in this crawl space, this attic area, and was always there when I would go play with my babies or go play tea party. This gentleman was always sitting in that same chair around this little table area. And I didn't think twice of it until many years later. I thought how strange that was. For one, there was only enough room for maybe a tiny 2 or 3 year old to crawl through that crawl space, let alone a full grown adult. And the fact that he was always there in the same spot. So that was my earliest memory of connecting to an apparition. So clairvoyance has been one of my biggest clairs, and then claircognizance. I've always had that intuitive knowing. I would just know things before they happened, or with people's energies that would show up. There were a lot of individuals that would come in and out of my life at that age, and I would know if they were carrying shadows, if they were carrying lower vibrational energies or even attachments, which was very challenging and difficult for me to separate myself from, because I very much wanted to be a part of a family dynamic, but at the same time I knew that wasn't the dynamic that I wanted to be a part of. And it also allowed me to open up to the other spiritual realms that were scary as a child. Some would call mythical folklore tulpas, such as hellhounds or mothmen. And I recall at a very young age seeing all different things. And I remember asking Spirit, I don't want to see these things. I see enough scary, violent, angry energies in the physical. I don't want to start seeing this in the spiritual as well. So I had shut down. I shut down a lot of that to protect myself in a sense. And it was maybe middle school or so, I was really into the metaphysical, paranormal. I recall playing light as a feather, stiff as a board, and really connecting to my witchy roots. I had a difficult time connecting with others, and being a Libra, I've been on both sides of every situation. I like to think that, yes, I've been the lover, I've been the fighter, I have been the one bullied, I have been the one that was on, all sides of the spectrum. And that has allowed me to have this perspective that a lot of people don't if they're not on both sides of the scales, being a Libra, right? So in high school, I rebelled. I shut down a lot of it. I just wanted to be normal. I also modeled and conditioned to, I was conditioned to see certain things as a girl, and I had modeled the behaviors that I had seen. I shut down a lot of my gifts, but that inner knowing never went away. That inner moral compass, that connection to spirit, I still very much prayed and called in help because I needed it often. There were many times where I should have been dead. I should have, I put myself in situations that I don't know how I got out of sometimes. I mean, I do, but it didn't stop me from acting out in ways because maybe a part of me deep down knew that I was protected in a sense because I had been calling in the angels from very early on when domestic violence and, lower vibrations were a big part of my life. So as, again, a teenager, I rebelled and I shoved all that aside. And then come early 20s, I ended up getting married at a very young age, 19, and I started a family, and Spirit said, all right, it's time for you to open back up to your spiritual gifts. So I reconnected through my first Reiki session, which was a little over, I want to say 15, 16 years ago. And that really opened up the floodgates once again. And I remembered my purpose as a healer, as a coach, as a divine leader in a way. And it really caused me to understand the balance, the duality of going through everything that I had gone through. So I had taken those challenging experiences and I had alchemized them, turned them into situations that I could work with and help other people. Now, of course, I still had to work in the corporate world. That was part of my stepping stones. But even working in the corporate world, in real estate and marketing, even in the restaurant industry, I was always building a side gig of working with people. I've been reading energies, doing intuitive work and energy healing for the last 2 decades. And it wasn't until 2020 where a tower moment came in and pretty much ejected me abruptly from the corporate world, which was the biggest blessing in disguise because sometimes what do we do when we have a tower moment? We panic. What am I going to do? What's going to happen? How do I move forward? But that really launched me into my dream. And that's like the death energy in tarot with the tower when we go through situations that sometimes are out of our control. It is how we respond to those situations. And of course, I let myself freak out. Even to this day, I give myself an adequate amount of time. Maybe it's a couple minutes, maybe it's, 5 minutes just to freak out. Let me feel my emotions and feelings, but it's like a tidal wave. They're going to come and they're going to go. And it's important to honor them and feel them. And then being a double air sign, a Libra, Sun, Aquarian, Moon, I figure things out, right? Where there's a will, there's a way. And I always say the mind can be used to build, the mind can be used to destroy. So I've taken all of those experiences that I've gone through and I have used them to build and to make my life a better space. I don't look back. I do not have regrets. I love all of my mother's wounds and her shadows, including my own. And I've had people ask me, Mel, what is your favorite tarot card? And I might be a little biased because I am a Libra, but I do love the Empress. But one of my favorites is the Strength card because the Strength card represents the duality and the compassion that we have for our own inner strength. And I've seen both sides of it. I've seen how when people do not feel in control or when they let their weaknesses rise up and that takes more precedence than their strengths, they can use that for anger, for violence, to control. They can let the addictions take over, and the strength would probably be one of my favorites. One of my favorite cards is the one where there's a little girl that is giving a crocodile a big hug. And I always look at that card and I think, if we can look at our own shadows, if we can look at our own past with love, forgiveness, and compassion for our journey and our growth, our evolution, how can we use those experiences to become a better version of ourselves? Or we can wrestle that crocodile, right? We can wrestle it. It can turn to anger. It can turn to rage. It can turn to alcoholism, addictions. And I knew also at a very early age, as having these certain roles that we have here in this earthly time, I also knew that I chose the specific bloodline that I chose to break out of ancestral patterns. I have broken out of many of them. I am coming up on 3 years sober this month, next week actually, and I was the first to graduate and to go to college, to have a business. There's so many aspects that I have broken out of, but also those are the physical. We oftentimes forget about the emotional pieces of it as well. Sometimes we repeat patterns. We stay in patterns of either domestic violence or addictions. That's why the devil card doesn't scare me, because I've danced with the devil many, many times. And when the devil no longer holds precedence over you, there's no attachments. That is liberating. That is freeing. That is strength. And so I love both sides of every card because it's a part of our journey. It's a part of our evolution. So back to 2020, I was catapulted into allowing myself to explore this path, this healing journey full time, because I had been making the stepping stones in the corporate world, or taking them. I had been helping everyone else build their dreams while giving little bits and pieces to my own dream. And here I was in 2020 with a full palette of, Mel, what do you want to do? How do you want to build this up? And it wasn't until March 2021, so the following year, I had a little bit of a year of processing and learning and growing and figuring things out and building upon my business. But it wasn't until 2021 where I had received a clear message, which in another video, I will share with you many of the clear messages that I have received from my own spiritual team. That'll be a great video. But in this instance, I was having an evening with a girlfriend where I went on YouTube before she had arrived at my house. And what did I do on YouTube? What I always did on YouTube, I would search for music, right? Spiritual music. That was basically the only thing that I had used YouTube for. Maybe a do-it-yourself project once in a while, but mostly it was to listen to music. And so I had went on the TV because I had hooked the YouTube, YouTube was on the television, and I was told clear as day to type in Libra March 2021. And I was like, what? Oh, okay. I now know not to question my guides and my intuitive nudges that come through. So I typed it in. Maybe I typed in tarot. I think it was just Libra though. And I had no idea that there were tarot readers on YouTube. No clue. And Spirit said, click on the second video in. So I clicked on the second video in. And as I listened to that video, my jaw dropping on the ground more and more as that reader was pretty much laying out my life story, or that situation that I was going through verbatim, like word for word, what was going on in my own life. I could not believe it. Even the names were resonating. It was a very empowering time. And after that video, I was just, in shock and awe, and Spirit said, Melissa, this is what you will be doing. And I'm like, what? What am I going to be doing? You will read tarot on YouTube and you will put out your first video in 1 month. And I'm like, well, for one, I don't know how this YouTube stuff works. I don't have a YouTube channel and I don't know tarot. I had picked up a tarot deck maybe once or twice, but in the prior years building up my business, I had read intuitively, no tools. And so this was a major learning curve for me. And I like challenges. So I gave it a big old wink. And 1 month later, I put out my first video, April of 2021. And here we are today. And if I wouldn't have listened to that intuitive nudge, this wouldn't be possible. Well, without you, of course, but sometimes we have to listen because we're constantly getting signs and symbols at any given moment. We're receiving information, and sometimes they're not as clear as type in Libra 2021. It's not as clear, but we can start to develop more clarity. The more that we listen to our intuitive gifts, the more information will come through, the more symbolism, and you'll be able to decipher it and break it down. And I feel right now in 2025, we need more than ever to trust our own intuition. Now we have Pisces in the North Node for the next year and a half. We have Virgo in the South Node. So this is a very powerful time to connect our spiritual world into our physical world, blend the two, give them a big old hug, just like the shadow and the light. Give them a big hug and embrace them with kindness and compassion and rise above duality. And I feel like that's what we're doing here on this channel as well. All right, so let's dig into some of the channeled messages. That is a bit about me and my story. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section below. I will be hopefully sharing little bits and pieces about my journey, my experiences, some really amazing, incredible aha moments that I've had, tower moments as well. But I want to help you navigate through your journey through coaching. So if you have any certain topics or themes that you would like me to go into, please let me know. All right, so some of the messages that have come through for the channeled messages, I am going to read from my notes here because there's a lot of them. Please take what resonates. Try not to make any story fit. And I do get names. I get a lot of messages. So even if there's not a clear message behind it, I want you to tap in and say, what does this mean for me? What am I meant to dive into? All right. So the names that were coming through were Brooks, Foster, and Young. Brooks, Foster, and Young. So some of you, maybe that is a business partnership, perhaps a place, a location. It could be someone's last name. You may meet someone. So again, those are significant names showing up for you maybe in 2025. If you do not connect with them now, they may show up for you later. I was also seeing two labs. There was a black lab and a yellow lab. So you may have labs yourself, maybe a pet that's crossed over, but that can also symbolize the shadow and the light as well, as we've been talking about. Now, I did hear a gentleman, I believe it was a gentleman. It was someone elderly, I'll say that. It feels like someone who's crossed over, and I heard, I bid 3 tricks. And I'm like, okay, is this individual a trickster? And I heard the cards hitting the table. So this could be someone who really enjoyed playing cards that held tricks, such as smear or rummy, maybe hearts or spades. So there's someone that is still playing one of those games in the spirit world, and perhaps you are learning a card game at this time as well. I feel like that is a special moment. There's something very special about partaking in that activity. Now, I did see 3 siblings. Now, it could be that you have more than 3 siblings, but it were 3 siblings that were connected and one of them faded out, meaning one sibling could have crossed over at a very young age. Some of you, it could be that you were the youngest sibling here, or maybe you've disconnected very early on in life. I was getting the siblings. So we also have, you will lose the battle but win the war. And I feel like this has to do with a settlement. So for some of you, this is going to be a settlement that comes through, or a judgment that comes through that's maybe not in your favor, but it will be for the highest good of your journey, as in it will be balanced out over time. You will win in the grand scheme of things, and you will understand in time why something didn't turn out the way that maybe you had hoped. But I feel like it will bring about a rebalancing. I feel like there will be a win eventually, maybe not right at the time that you're hoping. I was seeing an instrument and I heard keep playing. So for some of you, this is either a piano or it could be a guitar. I was seeing song lyrics, or song lyrics also with the musical symbols on someone's body. So there could be a tattoo here of song lyrics or musical symbols, maybe even like piano or guitar. Keep playing. Or if you have that tattoo or maybe meet someone, I feel like there's a big significance around that. I heard, sweet Shannon, your time will come. Excuse me. Sweet Shannon, your time will come. So, excuse me. So Shannon, if this is you and you've been going through a difficult time, a difficult period, I do feel like there will be a breakthrough soon for you. Someone who has lost a credit card or an ID, I don't feel like you're going to find it. And I am hearing get a replacement or cancel that card as soon as possible. Okay, so if you have lost an important document, it feels like it's small. So again, a credit card or a driver's license, something of that nature, you might need to get it replaced. I mean, it could even be a renewal coming up, maybe for a passport or a driver's license or a credit card. There may be a new one coming in for some of you. There is an heirloom that is meant to be passed down to you or to maybe your child. I don't know if this is a piece of jewelry, it could be a wall clock, it can be anything. It may or may not hold financial value, but I definitely feel like it does hold sentimental value. So that heirloom will go to you or it belongs to you in some way. All right, don't put off important documentation such as power of attorney, wills, trust, insurance policies, or life insurance, deeds, things of that nature. April 2025 came up, so maybe April is when this should be finalized or completed. Perhaps April is a significant month for some sort of settlement that has to do with important documentation. Or if you have been wanting to change up things in some way, it feels like it's important to get it done by April. All right. Some of you may have thyroid stuff with the thyroid going on. That could be partially due to what they've called autoimmune, maybe Graves or Hashimoto's, but look into the EBV virus, which Medical Medium also teaches a lot about. That's the Epstein-Barr virus. So if you have had issues with the thyroid and they have labeled it autoimmune, or maybe they're two separate things for you, you have thyroid issues and autoimmune, look into the EBV virus. That could save someone's life, or it could turn someone's health in a completely different direction if you really get to the root, which could be EBV. All right, someone was holding their chest. There were tears, there were scars. So perhaps someone has had a surgery in this area, and the message that I received was, you're more beautiful now than ever. So if you, beautiful soul, have gone through either cancer or a surgery or open heart, maybe this is someone that you know, the message is you are more beautiful now than ever. And it was in such a loving, warm, nurturing, like Mother God embrace that I just wanted to wrap that energy up in a big, big hug, a big warm hug. And I'm sending that out to you. All right. I was hearing Eric Clapton's wonderful tonight. So some of you, you may have that song of, it may be a wedding song, it may be someone's love song. Eric Clapton, You Look Wonderful Tonight. It was really beautiful. I was seeing slow dancing. Some of you, that could be meaning you're going to meet someone in the future. And perhaps listening to that song could activate some feelings within you. If you're like, Mel, I've been wanting to meet someone new. I really feel like there is someone new coming in for you. And we have important dates coming in too, which I'll name here in just a moment. But I feel like there is significance around that song. Maybe when you meet someone, that song is playing. Perhaps again, it was, someone's anniversary or wedding, or it shows up on social media. Pay extra attention because I feel like there's a level of like romantic love tethered to that. Some of you may have a child that is going through some hardship at this time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not going to be easy. It will be tough, but they will come out stronger, right? Remember that strength energy. It feels like someone may be going through a loss, maybe a bereavement. This could be a divorce, a heartbreak, a health issue, but I feel like they will come out on the other side. It may take a little bit of time, and they may not choose some of the options that maybe you would choose, knowing what you know now, but I feel like it's part of their journey, and you are doing the best thing that you possibly can do with what you know. But some of you need to know that they will come out stronger from it. Some of you may be dreaming of another individual, and this could be a twin flame. Now, you may or may not know who this individual is. For a lot of you, you're dreaming of someone, or you may even be dreaming of someone that doesn't even have like a face. It's just their energy. I feel like this is a twin flame. And oftentimes we don't even meet our twin flames, right? They're living a different parallel universe. It's very rare to find, a twin flame here in this lifetime. So for some of you, you are dreaming about them. And maybe you already have connected with them in this life. So I feel like dreams are significant here. You could be telepathically connecting or meeting each other, even if you are twin flames at a distance, or, if you're apart at this time. A lot of you, I would say the majority of you watching this channel, are going through psychic upgrades. So physical and emotional shifts. This can be a heightened sense of intuition. Dreams are very active. This can be temperature changes in the body. Some of you may be falling into hermit mode. I mean, we are in a 9-year, 2025 breaks down to a 9. That is the Hermit's major arcana. There could be changes in sensitivity. You may be more sensitive to foods, to environments, to relationships. Some of you, the body is really wanting to detox at this time. Listen, okay? And values and beliefs could be shifting. So these are all part of the psychic upgrades. Even the DNA upgrades that I've been getting for quite some time, there are some big shifts happening here. Now, you can break the pattern. And like I shared my ancestral wounds of the bloodline that I chose, some of you also have chose a bloodline that you've meant to break out of in some way, whether break out of addictions, break out of maybe even the family in itself, whatever that pattern is. Some of you, it is a way of thinking. It's a way of processing some of your own challenges, your own traumas. You are meant to break out of it. The message was, you will break out of the pattern, you will succeed. So I love that message coming in. I have faith in you. If this is something where you've been chasing your tail, going around and round in circles, you will exit. You will get out of that revolving, door. I have faith in you. Jody was my favorite. All right. That was coming from a father or grandfather, maybe even a brother or a divine masculine. And I had to chuckle because I'm like, shh, we don't say who is our favorite. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we navigate towards children who we get along a little more with, or we connect or vibe to. Now, we wouldn't come out and say you're my favorite, but we do tend to navigate towards certain energies depending on where they're at in their lives as well. And for some of you, if you are Jody, or maybe Jody was a sibling, you may have known that they had some sort of favoritism. I'm not quite sure, but I did hear a gentleman say Jody is my favorite. Now, I was seeing, I feel like it was Skittles or maybe even M&Ms, and someone was taking out the different colors. I'm not sure what colors. It feels like it was a huge pile of, again, whether Skittles or M&Ms, and I'm just setting them aside. And the message is certain colors were picked out. Maybe literally someone picked the colors out because that was their favorite, or maybe they didn't like it and they gave them to you. But I'm also getting a message of, taste the rainbow, like all of the colors of the rainbow. You are unique in your own way. And there are certain dynamics of you that you may be focusing on a little bit more. So perhaps you pulled out the blue. If some of you are seeing different shades or different colors, pay attention to what you are drawn towards, because those colors can also be like the colors of the chakras. So if you're pulling out the blues, maybe speaking, communication, creative expression is really highlighted for you. For others of you, maybe the red is about, your stability, your root chakra. And I feel like colors and shades is coming up. Some of you are being guided to add more color to your diet, maybe more color to your logo. It just feels like color is significant with the M&Ms. There could be a message around like Soul Tribe as well. If you ever watch those M&M commercials, there's always a lot going on, but they're buddies, they're friends. So for some of you, maybe there's a new best friend coming in for you as well. And they may not be like the rest, okay? But I feel like that's what makes them unique. That's what makes them special. Someone's favorite movie was The Goonies or the movie Big, maybe both. Big with Tom Hanks, The Goonies, classic 1980s, 1990s film. So maybe that was your favorite, or you watched that growing up. You may have fond memories of one or both of those movies. A couple of my favorite movies growing up, I absolutely loved Dirty Dancing. There's my Libra energy, and then Wizard of Oz as well, because there's the lion. I feel like the Wizard of Oz, all aspects of oneself, and Glinda being the empress, if you will, and Dorothy being kind of the fool in a sense, right? And navigating through all of the tarot, the fool's journey, basically. So no wonder I love that movie very early on. Anyway, Dances with Wolves was shown to me. Now, that's a movie, I believe. It's a movie with what's his name? Very good looking Kevin Costner. Yeah. I'll watch Dances with Wolves just for good old Costner. But some of you, your wolf animal spirit, or your animal spirit is a wolf. Wolves are symbolic. Maybe there's someone with a wolf tattoo. Maybe wolves are visiting through dreams. That name could be like indigenous name for some of you, or a shamanic name. Maybe shamanism is calling to you at this time. So do pay attention to the wolves, whatever that may mean for you. I was getting the name Chiron or Chiron. I'm not quite sure what language, if that is a language, or what it means. I feel like it has another meaning. I don't know what the meaning is. Someone may, but it's Kiran. And I'm getting the energy of like a sweet child, something around a sweet child, Chiran. But I feel like it's from a different background, or the meaning behind it means something to someone that's significant. So take that as it resonates. That could also be someone's spirit guide as well, Chiron or Chiron. I seen a calendar with the date circled, and the date was September 24th. Now, of course, that can be a birthday, it can be an anniversary, it can be a significant date, but I was getting a community of people. It felt like there was like dancing. I don't know if this is maybe a holiday in a different country, I don't think it's a holiday here in the US. I'm pretty sure it's not, but I feel like it's either a holiday or it's a significant event, or there maybe is like a peace treaty type of energy or a communal energy. And I feel like there's significance around it in 2025. So September 24th, 2025, I have dancing, singing, eating, like connectivity in some way. And if that is you personally, maybe there is a big win, a big celebration around that time or in that month. I heard bunny chow, and I'm like, okay, well, there's a bunny in our household. What does that mean? Does someone have a bunny? But I was getting it means something else elsewhere. So maybe this is someone's tradition or a food. This maybe someone, I've heard of puppy chow, right? That's a snack. Maybe bunny chow is a snack, or maybe someone needs to go get some hay or look at, if they have a pet bunny, like look at maybe the food that they're feeding it. So again, take that as it resonates. If it means something to you, awesome. I would love to hear it in the comment section. By the way, if any of these messages do resonate with you, please drop them below. I'd love to hear. I love when it resonates and connects to someone, because I'm just the channel. I'm just the tool. I don't often know how it connects. Unless we're doing a personal reading and I dig into it, but these collective messages, I don't always know how it aligns with you. I was seeing a book of poems, and I asked who's writing these poems, and I heard Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath, I believe, took her own life in her early 30s, and she suffered from severe depression. I think she may have even had other like personality disorders. I'm not quite sure, but Sylvia Plath could be significant. Maybe someone's name is Sylvia, maybe someone's name is Plath, or someone has struggled with suicidal ideology, maybe lost someone in that manner. You could have written poems, or maybe you do write them currently. There may have even been a poem that was published. I feel like this is significant for someone in a very big way, because it's through creative expression. It is through you being able, or whomever this may be, them being able to express themselves. Someone may be trying to express themselves through their words. So just keep that in mind. I'm sending you a lot of love if that does resonate with you. I heard Cousin Jimmy, and that may be a nickname. I don't know if Jimmy was actually his name, but I heard Cousin Jimmy saved your life. And that was real loud. It almost felt like bold, egoic, like, yeah, Jimmy saved your life. But then very quietly, almost in a whisper, I heard, but he saved mine. So it feels like there's a balance that has taken place here between maybe you and a cousin. Some of you, this cousin you have had a past life with. This may be someone that, had maybe even picked on you in some way, but you saved them, they saved you. I'm not quite sure. I heard that loud and clear. Cousin Jimmy saved your life. Yes, your pet can read your mind. Now, more often than not, pet energy comes through when it's in the challenge side of it. It comes through with regret or maybe even guilt. And for some of you that have made the very difficult choice to maybe put a pet down, the message that came through was no regrets, because you too can read energy. So for some of you, yes, your pet can read your mind, but you also, and I feel like it wasn't even a mind reading, it was more like energy, but you too can pick up on their energy. And I just heard no regrets, it was time. So hopefully that can give some of you solace that even if you made that choice, or if there was a pet that has crossed over abrupt, or there's been a difficult choice that you had to make around that pet, I am getting no regrets. Everything happens for a reason, and there was something that needed to take place at that time. So try not to dwell on that circumstance, okay? I was hearing the beautiful song, which one of my favorites, Neil Young, Old Man, Take a Look at My Life, I'm a Lot Like You. Some of you, this has to do with a father, okay? A father who may or may not still be in this present life, this physical life. I feel like there may be more aspects of a father that you are healing or that you are a part of than maybe you had thought. That song could be significant. Maybe you hear it. I'm also getting March, May, and October around father energy for some of you. But old man, take a look at my life. If you have healing to do around the divine masculine, around the father, whether you are maybe a father yourself, that is something I feel like you are exploring, looking into, or you may even receive some really profound messages from your own father in those months. Someone has a significant birthmark that is connected to a past life. Someone may have been burned, maybe hanged. It could be a bullet wound, a knife, battle scar. I feel like a significance around a birthmark. So pay attention to the shape, the size, the color, the location. I feel like that's really unique, and you may even be looking at like past life regression or being hypnotized in some way. Perhaps you are being called to explore your past life if this resonates with you. I would love to hear if you have a unique birthmark. I don't think I have any birthmarks actually, but some people do. And if you have one, look into that a little bit. I think you will enjoy that. Business peaks or promotions or significant increases in some way. These months are showing up in 2025. March, July, August, and November could be highlight peak months for those of you that are dealing with maybe financial woes, or if you've been wanting to increase your output in some way, or your views, or even spiritual growth or evolution. I feel like those are significant months for you, Soul Tribe. And then the ages, these ages came up. So even if you are not currently in one of these time frames at this time, you may look back and there could be some significance around that date for you, or excuse me, around that age. Age 27, 39, 44, 53, 67, and 78. Now, maybe those are Powerball numbers, just kidding. But those numbers hold some sort of significance here for you. I feel like they're ages. It could be ages where there's a Wheel of Fortune moment, right? It could have been a tower moment, but I feel like they are big peak moments. If you are familiar with, what is it called? Zodiacal release, which has like monumental ages and milestones that one goes through in their life. Those could be big moments for you, big ages. So again, 27, 39, 44, 53, 67, and 78. And then lastly here, I am getting someone that may be suffering from a little bit of IBS, or there's like bloating, maybe gassy energy. If you are eating any sugar-free items, trying to cut out sugars, be mindful of, oh gosh, what is it called? Erythritol, is that how it's pronounced? That could be contributing to someone's gassiness. But I'm also making sure you are staying away from some of those foods. Maybe it is gluten. Perhaps it is, it could even be tomatoes, onions, whatever it may be for you. I feel like there's something going on that your gut is reacting to, and it's causing a lot of discomfort, okay? There could also be some sort of bacteria, maybe some sort of viral, but I feel like you can get your gut health under control. Do your research, look into, certain foods, maybe even keep a little bit of a food diary and look at what's going on in your life. Remember, the gut is like our second brain. They're connected. They're definitely attached here, and there's something that your gut may be telling you at this time. Do pay attention. All right, Soul Tribe. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope this reading was helpful. Drop in the comment section below any questions that you have, any topics that you would like to go into. And if any of the messages resonate, I would love to hear. Thank you again so very much for tuning in. Lots of love.